So now I have to start giving this person commands, right? So we had the cover of darkness. I'm now going to make my presence known, losing that, right? But what can I do to help me gain some compliance and still keep control of him, although he doesn't meet the parameters for engagement? Blind him with the white light, right? Disorient him. So basically, I want to make sure I can use my white light, still look through my nods, and still have a passive dot if I so require, right? So I just want to make sure I have that. Another condition, right? Making sure if I have a catastrophic malfunction within my tubes that I have an immediate action, right? So nods go dark, right? I'm coming into a room, nods go dark. My only option is to immediately switch to white light, right? I'm not gonna have time to switch out of these, put my hands, drive them out, or hit the mount and switch it up, because I need to still finish the problem that I'm working with at hands, right? So by having the helmet set up correctly, I can instantly just literally look underneath the nod, switch to white light, and do whatever I have to do, right? Not losing any situational awareness and still be able to finish what I'm working on, right? Then once it's over, I can try to fix the problem, right? I might not be able to fix it at that current given time, but whatever, battery dies, put a bad battery in, whatever it is, I want to have that immediate action. Cool? Does that make sense? But we have to make sure the gun is set up to facilitate that. If I go underneath my nods, right, and then go to white light, and then, oh, what do you know? There's no dot, right? Can I still make engagements? Yeah, I can, but it's avoidable, right? It's borderline irresponsible because I have the ability to set my equipment up correctly where I do have a traditional aiming reference, right? So let's just make sure our equipment is diverse and can be easily plugged and played depending on whatever we encounter, right? Like I said, not probable, but still possible. And if it does happen, it could be literally life or death, right? So the risk versus reward, there's none, right? It doesn't take much to make sure I got a couple extra pads in there where I can just simply push my head up. It doesn't take much time to do a good pre-op check of my equipment and making sure that when I go to white light, I still have a dot, right? Same principles apply to your pistol, right? So I would just go through the same exact procedures with my pistol. Cool? All right, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna get some reps working that, right? Making sure we can see under our nods, make engagements. That's also what it's gonna show you to, is that you might have to manipulate your equipment a certain way to be able to get behind that optic, right? Now, if you're running a PVS 14 and you're running on your non-dominant eye, excuse me, which is the way I used to do it, and the reason why I did is because when I switched to traditional shooting, I didn't have to worry about anything. You didn't have to close an eye, you didn't have to do nothing. This eye literally in the tube just kind of like, just went away and white light came up and I was able to just bring my gun up naturally, right? Like, I can make a PVS 14, right? So I can do whatever I'm doing with my laser, okay, whatever happened, and now I can just go to traditional shooting and I have a good clean dot and it's just my traditional shooting the entire time, right? If my PVS 14 is set up on my non-dominant eye, right? Some people don't like that. To me, it didn't bother me. That's the way I set it up, all right? But if you're running duals, well, then I need to make sure I can look underneath, and that might require you to tilt a little bit like this, right? To get that sight picture. Still, all the shooting is the same, but that makes me do something like that for me. Cool? So let's find out what you have to do with your equipment to work all that stuff. Cool? So we're gonna get online, we're gonna go through that pre-op check. If anyone has any questions, make sure, play with your dots. You might have to dial them up or dial them down. Guys that have NVG settings on their optics, little trick, they won't work, right? For when you go to white light. They are designed solely for minimal signature from the front of the gun and to work under night vision, right? So if you had to switch to white light and you moved to shoot through your optic, you would not have a dot, right? So I have plenty of optics that have night vision settings and I don't activate them, right? I just find a good low setting that doesn't give me a front signature, that I still have a dot or a clean enough dot where it's not pluming out of control when I do mount it, right? So when I mount it and I'm not using any of that stuff and I go passive, I want to make sure that dot is not like some crazy plume, right? So that looks good. And then, hey, I go to white light in the optics. Yep, still good. White light out of the optic. Yep, still good. Cool. That dot tells me right there, I'm not going to point my gun at you, but I already know what it looks like. There's not a signature really coming off that at all. Cool? All right.